Gamers Nexus exposed a lot of problems over at Linus Media Group, and they cited their insane frequency of videos.
I don't know what our current count is weekly, but I know it's very high. Very rarely am I particularly proud of a video I've worked on.
The accuracy with their information within their videos, maybe because of that insane frequency.
Rather, it becomes intentional to do so because of the knowledge of that approach.
And a lot of the fatal flaws within LTTs, or Linus Tech Tips' communication within their company. Linus Tech Tips did respond to these claims and said they're going to fix these things over time.
But through it all, we put together a plan.
A lot of people in the community were actually positive on this, surprisingly. And the Linus Tech Tips viewership has actually stayed relatively good, if not better, since all of this went down. But is everything that Linus Tech Tips said just virtue signaling?
It underscores our new commitment to do whatever it takes to move beyond just entertainment to become the authoritative voice that you guys deserve and the one that we all want to be.
Or has LTT actually gotten better in these 3 months since all of this went down? So I want to stress, I'm just here to check up on them. I'm not here to like hold LTT's feet to the fire or anything like that. I don't have that kind of authority. I want to know what you think about this whole situation. Let's jump in. If you go onto the LTT channel, they did say they're going to be slowing down their video production so that they can make every video higher quality.
We don't need to run at this pace. In fact, in some ways, it's our efforts to keep doing more and keep doing better that have created our current situation.
10 days ago, 8 days ago, 7 days ago, 6 days ago, 5 days ago, 4 days ago. Now this one, there's like a 4-day gap in between these two videos. It seems like, at least at times, they are putting out videos almost daily. In this case, it almost looks like they put out 2 videos in the same day. I'm not exactly sure if that's what it was. Before this whole incident went down with Gamers Nexus, they were putting out basically a video a day on their main channel. And then they have other channels like Short Circuit, which also still put out a lot of videos. 1 day ago, 2 days ago, 6 days ago, 8 days ago, 9 days ago, 13. They still put out a lot of content even on this channel as well. Now, the real question is the frequency of the videos that they're putting out actually a problem? It could be a problem if they're low quality videos, but it kind of seems like their quality has gone up. Let's jump on to the next session. LTT is in an interesting situation as a company in general, because the kind of content that they put out is juxtaposing, I'm using big fancy word, to itself. Whoa! So that's a laptop. They got a laptop that was it's like a military grade, like very strong materials. And they basically spent this entire video basically just trying to break the damn laptop. Yes, this isn't going to be the most scientific video out there, but that's exactly what makes LTT content hard to make, because they do have information within their videos, but a lot of it is pretty crazy and it's not really that together in terms of content. They recently got this thing, which is a chiller. And what they did is they wanted to cool a CPU, so your processor on your computer, with this chiller. And this thing can get your CPU down to like 10 degrees. Like it can literally freeze the water that's cooling. And this is something normal people wouldn't really ever do. Check out this section.
All right.
I don't think we need the farting sound effects, Alex. They were implied. For those of you wondering, the point of what I'm doing is to prevent any condensation that forms on the CPU from shorting it out. And that condensation is very likely because it's going to be so cold that any moisture in the air is going to turn to liquid as soon as it touches it.
They're still explaining why they're doing this thing. They're putting this grease on it, or this like goo or whatever you want to call it. I know what you might call it. So because this chiller that we just talked about is so cold, so they want the computer to not kill itself. But then they also show another part in this video, even though, again, this is so ridiculous, but listen to what Linus says here.
Quick note, in a perfect world, we wouldn't be using an acrylic or plexi-topped block for sub-zero cooling. In the short term, like what we're doing, it's okay, but if you ever wanted to go chilled liquid for a long-term build, you would want to get something that is all Delrin or acetal on the top.
But it's cool to see that even on the ridiculous projects, they can explain it. Same with on this MacBook, they literally put a new cooling system inside of the MacBook. And yeah, they even explain certain things like this.
We got rid of the EMI shield, so we're going to be replacing that with more Kapton tape.
You know, they're putting things like EMI shielding. If you don't know what that is, electromagnetic interference shielding. So it protects the components within your computer. So they're actually even warning you if you were to do something like this that you would need to put EMI shielding on the device if you wanted to do something this stupid. Now, they're not really recommending you do this. It's really important when you're reviewing a product that you give people accurate information to work with, because you're actually recommending if somebody should or shouldn't buy a product. And it seemed like they had a ton of errors in their content before. So when LTT came off of their little hiatus, it seemed like they knew that this review on this graphics card here, this was a moment of truth to see if they had improved and were keeping their word to getting their content consistent.
Given this is our first post-hiatus hardware review and we were working under a deadline, we had to make some tough choices on which GPUs to include in our roster.
You know, they took their time to choose what they did and actually did only the right products that they could do in a reasonable amount of time. And I'm pretty sure with this review on this graphics card, they were actually a day late. They weren't the day on time. And I know this because I actually got this graphics card to review. I knew what day that they had it and they could have put it up, and they didn't have a video up that day. They had it up the next day. See, look, I made a review on it. You can see it right here. There was no pinned comments, so they didn't really make any major mistakes. And I don't think anybody really had anything to say that like it was like really bad or anything. So, but and then they did this in a future video.
Or if it actually works. Works, like this segue to our sponsor. AMD. The new Radeon RX 7700 XT and 7800 XT are here, with up to 16 gigs of GDDR6 memory and AMD's FSR3 for sharp visuals and high frame rates. These graphics cards dare to ask, what if game, but more good?
So they made a video that was actually positive on these graphics cards. They ended up advertising it in a video that came out about 2 weeks later after this one came out. Were they working with them beforehand? We have reason to believe that they were. And did that influence their review? Now, in this specific review, I don't think it was an issue because they were saying what most reviewers were saying, and even an opinion that I had on the products before they were put out there, is that they were a decent value anyways. A little iffy to see LTT taking sponsors from the same company that they're reviewing products from. They made a review on the Steam Deck OLED. Through this video, I think they were pretty accurate with a lot of their stuff, and they showed the benchmarks here. Seemed good to me. Like, honestly, I have nothing to complain about here. They didn't pin a comment that was actually, you know, like saying they made a mistake or anything like that. And it seems like the comment section is pretty normal. By everything that happened with this Gamers Nexus video, seems like LTT is in a decent spot nowadays. Something I did want to point out, which was really interesting and probably something I'm not sure if Linus has ever done in the past. Maybe he has, like, I don't know, don't quote me on that, but they actually re-uploaded a video because the information they put within this video was not good. So this was a secret shopper. So what they did is they bought a pre-built PC from a bunch of different companies, and they judged them on how much value they got out of the product. They judged their customer service, their delivery times. For one of the companies here called Starforge,
It has nothing to do with a dick.
they actually re-uploaded the video and then they put this section in
Through.
to clarify
we
this.
saved the best for last. Starforge. $300 for shipping? Is that in US? While our invoice said $300 for shipping, in their checkout you can see the shipping cost should be $99, and the rest is import duties and taxes that they're charging up front, so you don't get a surprise bill when the courier drops off your PC.
They added that section in after the fact because they didn't like the information they put in there. They did pin a comment to say that this was a re-uploaded video to clarify the Starforge section with regard to the cost of shipping. We believe this new version is a much more fair representation of what it's like to order from Starforge systems today. So they actually took down a video which does risk the viewership on the video not being as good in order to make the content better. Could this not last in the future? Who knows? But this is definitely a good step in the right direction. And we all know the Billet Labs situation. That whole thing where they sold the company's prototype product on an auction was all done because of a poor communication within the company. This is more the communication within Linus Tech tips, not really to us specifically. I actually think they've been doing pretty good communication with us. I'm gonna keep this part kind of short because I don't really know. We can only logically assume that their communication, their company as a whole, is getting better because we've seen that there are less mistakes in the content within the channel. I can't 100% guarantee that. Now, it's been 3 months since the Gamers Nexus video, and we look at LTT, Linus Media Group, and everything now, they're looking pretty good nowadays. When I initially saw the Here's the Plan video,
for an entire week, we have done almost nothing but dig through every misstep and conduct face-to-face meetings between our teams with the goal of surfacing the communication and the teamwork challenges.
I was pretty skeptical, along with probably a lot of the community about this, but I was optimistic about LTT and that they're going to be able to change for the better. Now, over these 3 months, we've seen that they've been doing some of the right things while still making content that we actually enjoy.
It would taste delicious. I've never had a drink that's below 0.
You can have all of the nice fibers from the factory in China that made that heat exchanger.
I mean, it's probably good for you. Doesn't taste that much colder. Well, it's very plasticky.
I wonder why.
And based on the viewership on their videos, it seems like people are still watching them, and that is a good thing. It was crazy to me to see that they actually took down one of their videos because the information in it isn't what they wanted to represent. Even though this misinformation was only a small part of the video, they still chose to take it down and re-upload it with the correct information. To me, that's a huge step in the right direction. That takes a lot of guts to do something like that. But what I really want to talk about here at this point in the video is Gamers Nexus. This video has actually become second most popular video on their channel. And within 3 months, it was 5.5 million views. You know, obviously this video on the channel wasn't monetized or anything like this. They weren't trying to make money on it. But the thing is, like, they're still held to that standard that they're the ones that call out Linus Tech tips. Maybe it's just me, but I felt like in their content, they felt a little bit more insecure about their testing and stuff like that. They have to over-explain things to make sure that we get the message across.
For ITX methods, we're gonna have a separate video coming up soon detailing the full thermal and acoustic testing procedures. We're looking at multiple configurations within the same case to try and understand where it performs well and where it performs poorly, because ultimately with ITX, it is so massively variable compared to ATX, where one can't fit a larger cooler and the other one can, because if you standardize, you have to choose the smallest of them, and it's not a realistic or a fair representation.
I was trying to look through their videos to try to find evidence about them doing this, and I couldn't find a whole lot. So this could be kind of maybe just a feeling that I'm having, that they're having to over explain things for the content to kind of compensate. But I swear I've been seeing it in their videos that they talk about things kind of too extensively for what's really necessary. I wanted to know if you guys had the same vibe with Gamers Nexus right now. I don't think they at all need to be insecure about their content. They make great content, so I don't know why they should care. Now, for this overall situation with LTT over this time and how they've changed, me and a lot of other people were probably very worried about the whole Gamers Nexus video, and if it was just going to be a negative thing for the community, that they're calling out LTT and LTT couldn't really improve. Actually, there's so many freaking videos that deserved downfall of Linus Tech tips, deserved self-destruction of Linus Tech tips, the fall of Linus Tech tips, deserved... That's not Linus Tech tips. Quite a few videos that were like dooming LTT and stuff like that. We've actually seen Linus Tech tips content improve, and they've also been keeping their mistakes to a minimum, which is a pretty large task for them, I guess. Though I do fear that over time, especially with how much their channel has still been uploading, if they don't be careful here and watch themselves, they could easily slip back into the same cycle of messing up their content that they did before. So hopefully they're keeping tabs on things, doing meetings and stuff to make sure they're communicating well inside the company. And I also have concerns about them taking advertising space from the same companies that they're reviewing products from. To me, this is pretty misleading. Anyways, though, I am happy that things are able to improve from this. I didn't know if it's going to be able to or not, and everything didn't go to shit like a lot of people probably thought it was going to. So let me know what you think about LTT and Gamers Nexus, that whole situation 3 months later. What do you think about their content? I'll see you guys in the next video. Y'all have a good one, and peace.